Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Nova Circuit TCG podcast. Today we're going to be breaking down some upcoming cards from the Paradox Rift set. So some of these are Japanese to English translations. Translation might not be 100% accurate, but we're
blow my mind, Nate.
We're going to dive in and we're going to blow Jordan's mind with some new cards. So we mentioned in our last video the upcoming Iron Hands card that's just kind of insane.
Apparently these cards are hella broke.
But we're going to dive through and discuss a few things. First and foremost, this is one of the coolest ones for me. Countercatcher.
All right. What did it do? Oh, Countercatcher. I know that card.
Yeah,
I know that card.
That one's old. So we're going to have Countercatcher in Boss's Orders, in Cross Switcher, in the same format.
And Escape Rope.
And Escape Rope, yeah. So
Fun.
basically, let's just gust everything everywhere. For those who aren't familiar with Countercatcher, you can only play the card if you got more prize cards remaining than your opponent, but it's gusted an item if you're down in prizes, which is sweet. So the future and past Pokemon, the Paradox Pokemon, you get some really unique stuff, like with the Future Booster Energy Capsule.
What did it do, though?
The future Pokemon this card is attached to has no retreat cost. So Iron Hands with 4
retreat with his 4
suddenly has no retreat cost.
Float Stone.
And the attack it uses does 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon.
And 20 more damage.
So now it does 140.
So it's a Muscle Band and a Float Stone on a single item.
But it only works...
Well, right. Tools aren't items anymore. So
Tools aren't items anymore, and it only works on future Pokemon.
Yeah.
But that's... You just talk about now that attack with Iron Hands... His larger attack does
the 140.
It's 140, and you take an additional prize card.
Yeah.
So you can come in with a small single prizer.
So that's 280, which is Lugia.
Yeah, you can slap down.
You can take 3 prizes off of V-Star Lugia.
You can come in with, you can actually hit Lugia with that and take 3 prizes. Yeah. Yes, because it's 140, does exactly 280 into weakness.
Plus, you're going to be gobbling up Lost Zone decks, too, because you can just smash their little 1 prizes and take it, too.
The other thing that's interesting is we have some ancient and future, so past and future supporters. So we have like both the professors. So you had Sada and Toro from the games, and the cards are unique. So like Sada is an ancient card, and you choose up to 2 of your ancient Pokemon and attach a basic energy or energy card from your discard pile to each of them. And if you attach any energy, draw 3 cards. So it's like a Melanie, but you can attach to 2.
But to
2 Pokemon.
Up to 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then Toro is a little more interesting. It's put one of your Pokemon into your hand. So you could just pick up a Pokemon.
Anything that they're about to knock out, and I don't want you to knock that out. But you can only pick up a future Pokemon.
You do have to discard all... Right. That is a good question, because the text doesn't read that way, but I would assume so. The other catch is that you currently... I'm not as impressed with this card, only because you can currently do this with Penny. And you still have to discard all the attached cards.
Right.
So you can do it with Penny right now. The card we already have.
Okay.
In the standard format. Obviously, this lasts a little longer, but already in the standard format. The last one, and this one is really cool, is that I want to cover is the Snorlax doll. And then we'll dive into TMs, because TMs will blow your mind. But the Snorlax doll, if this card is in your hand when you're setting up play, you may put it face down as if it were a 120 HP basic Pokemon.
Oh, but it's going face down.
Yeah.
Alright.
This card can only be played when you're setting up play. And it says at any time during your turn, you may discard this from play. This card can't be affected by any special conditions and can't retreat. If the card is knocked out, your opponent can't take any prize cards for it.
So it's Lily's Pokédoll.
It's Pokédoll.
But it's got 120 hit points.
But it's 120 HP.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
The Snorlax doll. So it's literally let's make Pokédoll a little bit more.
It's a little chunky.
A little chunky. Yeah. They gave it a nap time bonus with Snorlax, right?
Nice.
All right. So now's where we really blow your mind and break it.
Let's see what these TMs do.
So we have.
I like TMs.
We have multiple TMs.
Teach you things.
So we'll dive into them one at a time. We'll start with Blindside. The Pokemon this card is attached to can use the attack on this card. If this card is attached to one of your Pokemon, discard it at the end of the turn.
Okay, so it only lasts for a turn.
This one's only a turn. Triple colorless does the
Are they
attack.
all only for a turn?
I believe so.
Okay.
Triple colorless. This attack does 100 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon that has any damage counters on it.
Okay.
Don't apply weakness or resistance for bench Pokemon.
Alright, so more ammo for Snipe deck.
It's just, you could make anything a Snipe.
Exactly.
You could just drop it into a Dark deck since it's technically more...
Yeah, but it's got to have damage on it anyway.
Yeah. So next one, the technical machine Devolution.
Oh boy.
The Pokemon this card is attached to can use the attack on this card. Same thing. If it's used, discard at the end of the turn. Devolve each of your opponent's Pokemon by putting the highest stage evolution card on it into your opponent's hand.
So if they're playing rare candies or Lugia, Archeops,
rare, like when this comes out, Zard is gone. Well, you can't de-evolve the Archeops because it was never evolved. So there's nothing there.
There's nothing there.
There's nothing to take under it. So I don't think you do that, but you would de-evolve the Lugias. But I was more thinking like the Zards and things like that focus on the rare candy play. Yeah. They use their rare candies to set up, and then you're like, I'll de-evolve your board. Now you're Pidgeot's
Yeah, it definitely hurts the rare candy decks for sure. So
you just completely send them away. Next one, TM Machine Evolution. I'm not going to read the baseline rule because it's the same on all of them. One colorless evolution. Choose two of your bench Pokemon. For each of these Pokemon, search your deck for a Pokemon that evolves from that Pokemon and put it on that Pokemon to evolve it.
So that's like the opposite. Yeah,
it's literally the opposite.
Yeah, you're going to evolve all your dudes.
Yeah. Next one. Turbo Energize. Turbo Energize for one colorless. Search your deck for up to 2 basic energy cards and attach them to your bench Pokemon in any way you like. Shuffle your deck.
So you got...
So you drop this in with Miraidon as well.
Yeah.
So you can drop it on for a colorless off of like your basic starter.
That was what the Boltund V did, right? Yeah. So you get that attack back for that. Cool.
All right. And then one of the other future ones, Techno Radar. You can play this card only if you discard another card from your hand. Search your deck for up to 2 future Pokemon, reveal them, and put it into your hand, shuffle your deck. So off of an item, you can just quickly go, you're going to discard a card and go find 2 future Pokemon and drop them on your bench. Or into your hand. You can then put them on your bench.
So it's Battle VIP Pass.
It's a Battle VIP Pass.
But works every turn.
It's Battle VIP Pass and Quick Ball had a baby for future Pokemon.
Yeah.
They're going to discard a card to go get 2. That's insane. We do get a special energy, and as the Lugia bot, the resident Lugia bot of the area, I do love some special energy.
Gotta have them.
So medical energy just provides a single colorless. When you attach this card from your hand to one of your Pokemon, heal 30 damage from that Pokemon.
Alright.
So it's just a heal 30 when you attach.
Yeah, but it's got to attach from your hand.
It does have to attach from hand.
Yeah.
It's kind of unique and interesting to me. I don't think it'll find a spot in Lugia, which is sad because I wanted it to. I don't think it'll find a spot there, but I do think the card is cool.
Yeah, it helps with numbers for sure. Like if there's a bad matchup and you're getting 2-shot in that matchup with it, something big, then you fit the heal energy in it. Or is it miracle energy?
We're going to talk about a couple other items. So we're going to go back to some item/tool cards and stuff.
Yeah.
The Gorgeous Mantle. So this is a tool card technically. If the Pokemon this card is attached to does not have a rule box, it gets 100 plus 100 HP. And when it's knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, your opponent takes 1 more prize card for it. So they get an extra prize card, but your dude's 100 HP tankier. I thought this was interesting.
It's like the opposite of the hero medal. Like, they take 1 less prize, but it gets minus 100.
Can I put it on a Pokédoll?
Why not?
They don't take any prizes.
It's a Pokemon. Yeah.
Your opponent can't take any prize cards for it. So if you put it on a Pokédoll, it's now 220 HP sitting in the active. It doesn't have a rule. I don't think it has a rule box. It might technically. I don't know. I don't think it has a rule box.
I wouldn't think so.
And they can't take prizes for it. So now you just have a 220 brick wall sitting in the active.
That's hilarious.
For somebody who wants to play Control, our Capitan over here, Jason, wants to play Alakazam. Imagine just throwing one of those in the active with Alakazam behind it. Can't wait.
Do 220 damage?
Kill my dude and do nothing. We have another one here, Earthen Vessel. You can play this card only if you discard another card from your hand.
Okay.
Search your deck for 2 basic energy cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, and shuffle your deck. Nothing crazy. It is...
So discard a card to get 2 basic energies.
Yeah. So I have a theory with this, and it's a
not
worse
quite letter.
It's a worse capacious bucket.
Yeah, or a Professor's Letter.
Or a Professor's Letter. Yeah. So you have to discard a card to do it. The only deck I could see this being played in, are you ready? Guardian. I'm going to discard an energy. I'm going to go get 2 more basic energies, then I'm going to refine them away.
Or Chien-Pao.
Or Chien-Pao, yeah. Well, Chien-Pao doesn't want to toss the basic energy as much as it needs it in hand. So it doesn't mind having it in hand, but you also have Shivery Chill on the Chien-Pao to get those get to as initially.
Yeah, and with all the superior energy retrievals too, like you don't really mind putting some energies in your discard. Yeah, but sometimes you just want to thin them out of your deck.
That's
fair. And get them in play, and so I think that could see some play.
Jump in another item here. If you have more prize cards remaining in your opponent, this is Defiance Fest. If you have more prize cards remaining in your opponent, the Pokemon this card is attached to takes 40 less damage from attacks, or from your opponent's Pokemon, and that's after applying weakness or resistance. So you could just take 40 less. Period. I don't think this is really that relevant to me. Like, to be able to stop 40 is one thing, but we already have, a couple different cards that do something similar.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily relevant.
I could see it being played in some type of tanky deck, but I don't know, there's nothing like that really being played right now. Like with the Hisuian Gudra,
I can see it being
like
played
where you're just like adding, like playing all the cards, like the V-Guard energy plus the Defiance Vest plus the attack, like and
taking 80 less. Yeah. You're just like, all right, congratulations. You just
now you're taking 140 less damage.
And then after they've hit you twice, you're like, I'll heal everything off, start over. Like, let's just go back. So we're going back up through the list. We're gonna.
That's when you play the Turo and just pick it up and then have another one set up to go.
We talked about the future energy capsule. Let's talk about the ancient booster.
One. Yeah.
The ancient Pokemon this card is attached to gets plus 60 HP, recovers from all special conditions, and can't be affected by special conditions.
Okay.
Which therapeutic energy kind of does that minus the plus 60 HP.
Yeah.
But still cool. And now we're going to jump into some Pokemon. I'm going to skip over, if it's not an EX or a future or a past Pokemon, we're going to skip over it. But Iron Jugulus, which in the game I was like super ecstatic. You're down in Area Zero to find this thing. For triple colorless, the homing headbutt. This attack does 50 damage to 3 of your opponent's Pokemon that have any damage counters on them.
Have to have damage on them first. Okay.
So you could run this in a Lost Box deck, spread damage with Sableye, then just drop it down and go.
That's a basic Pokemon.
It's a basic Pokemon.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a basic. It's not, even though it's, it reminds you of Hydreigon. It's obviously the future form
doesn't have, it is a basic Pokemon. Yeah. Okay.
So the other attack, which is like way too many colorless. It's a 5 energy attack. Colors.
All right.
Barrier Beam does 150 damage. If this Pokemon has a future booster energy capsule attached, this attack can be used for triple colors.
3. And that one says 20 more damage.
You just do, yeah.
If you have that one on there, so it's a 170 for 3 colorless,
which isn't bad, but that doesn't impress me.
But on a basic Pokemon, 170 for 3 colorless is pretty decent for a basic single prize Pokemon.
For a single prize basic, yeah.
That's a decent attack.
But you are accelerating 3 energy to something that has got 130 HP.
And it's colorless, so you're not hitting weakness at any point. So yeah, I don't know if that'll really be a playable.
I could see this being dropped into Lost Box for the homing headbutt alone. Just because you could spread, the damage around with Sableye and then drop it down and just go, you could do 20, 20, 20, or 30. You can just do a little bit of damage spread all over the place, and then drop it down and finish off a board.
Because you are doing more damage than the Sableye.
Yeah, it's technically 150.
But it's not counters, so it doesn't get around the Manaphy.
It does not get around the Manaphy. That is a good point. Yeah, very good point. Bombardier EX for a colorless. You have fast carry. If you go first, you can use this attack on your first turn.
Okay.
Search your deck for 3 basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench. Shuffle your deck. So a 200 HP setup card.
Yeah, for 3 basic Pokemon. That's
I think that's good, but you're also putting a 200 HP non-attacking card onto your bench that is worth 2 prizes.
Yeah, when Miraidon
can do this already.
Play. Yeah, well, what I mean is it can just blow it up.
Oh yeah. Well, not to mention half the decks. Some of the Guardians are slipping in the Luxray that can just drop down if you're behind.
Yeah.
A bunch of other electric attackers and random things. Not to mention 200 HP is so weak. Several of your things just Lugia just built out hits in KOs.
Yeah, I think Miraida, like Electric Generator hits 1 energy, and then the Raikou just blows up the.
So the reason you run this
turn 1.
I wanted to discuss it first, but the reason you would run this is you set up with it, you get an attach a DTE immediately after the next turn, and you do 130 damage, which with a DTE would be 110. And you shuffle the Pokemon and all the attached cards back into your deck.
So that is cheeky, and I do like that play, but
I think it only is good. Like the only time it's ever good is if you open it, have a basic and a DT in hand, you can attach it, set up your board, then immediately attach a DT next turn and send it before they KO it.
Yeah, I mean, I like playing the Talonflame for that reason because it had the Talonflame was 0 retreat, right? Wasn't it? It was a 0 energy. The Talonflame V.
Okay, I had to think about the card.
I think it was like discard, draw 7 for 0 energy, and you could use it going first on your first turn. So it was something like that.
I'd have to pull up the card. I'm not sure, but I mean, we've had several cards in the history of things where it's
it was good.
It can drop and go, and it's Mousehold EX.
I've heard this is a very unique card.
It's cheeky.
Let's see what it do.
230 HP, but it's a stage 1, so it's not a basic. It's not a lot of HP for a 2-prizer that you have to work to get to. Yeah. But the ability's kind of cool. So Solidarity, if the Pokemon is in the active spot and is damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, put 3 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon for each Tandemaus, Mousehold, or Mousehold EX in play. Okay. So if you run a whole board of Mouseholds and they attack you, you got 5 on the bench, and you're
plus
one of the active.
So that's 18 damage.
They're taking 18 damage counters right back just to hit you.
Yeah. Wow.
So single prizers can't hit you because they'll just KO themselves for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to go in with 2-prizer.
And then it's got the Greedent attack, the Nom 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 incisors.
You have the Nom 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 incisors. 120 draw 2 cards, which I don't know if it's the most relevant thing. You'll see some cards, but. I
don't know if you're sending back, even 150 damage counters and then can swing for 120 and draw 2. I mean, that gets you to 270. You're knocking out a lot of things.
I just want to go in for the memes.
Oh yeah, it's a fun meme deck.
With the other Tandemaus here.
What that one
for
do?
1 colorless, it's damage rush. You do 10 damage 10
flip
times.
Flip a coin until you get tails.
It's you flip a coin until you get tails. This attack does 10 damage for each head. So I want to see if I can go in and just flip like 50 heads in a row. It's like the lucky ice pop, but it's damage instead. Let's just go keep flipping for attack. Jumping into the next EX here. I want your opinion. I want to hear what you think on this one. I'll share my opinion after. I just want to see your thoughts. Altaria EX. Ability Humming Heal. Once during your turn, you may heal 20 damage from each of your Pokemon. So it basically has an ability that we have on Radiant Sarina now.
Yeah, I don't care.
Alright. The attack. Light Pulse. 140 damage during your... And that's for a water and a metal. It's 140 damage during your opponent's next turn. Prevent all effects of attacks used by your opponent's Pokemon done to this Pokemon. Damage is not an effect. 260 HP for a stage 2. Or sorry, stage 1. How do you feel about the card?
Not good.
Okay, we're on the same page. It's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, for a stage 1, 260 HP doesn't seem too bad, but I just don't think it's good.
Yeah, if that was mitigating damage from EXs.
Yeah.
Or something like that, then I'd say, it's borderline playable in like a Stally control kind of deck. But it's not really doing anything that's going to keep it alive. So
I'm not impressed by the card.
Yeah.
From here, we'll dive into...
that Goldango's hot, though.
The Goldango, the most broken card ever. All of the Baby Blounds players are now celebrating in the back.
With superior energy retrieval in format.
Yeah, with superior energy retrieval in format. It is a stage 1. You do have to evolve it. Oh no!
But you have no damage ceiling.
You can also evolve and immediately drop a single energy.
Yeah.
To perform. It's not a 3-cost attack. It's 1.
And then you can go draw 2 cards.
Yeah, and the ability just once during your turn. You may draw a card. If this Pokemon's in the active spot, you can draw 1 more. So you can draw a card every turn. You can set up multiple Gordingos. That's the thing is, if you have multiple of these, you can literally just go draw a card, draw a card, draw a card. Oh, and then I'll draw 2 more.
And this one's the active, so too, yeah.
You can fill a hand up and then ditch energy and run. So, I mean, I didn't play Blounds personally, but anybody who's played Baby Blounds and loved Cephalon, you're going to be able to sling some energy.
Yeah.
It's definitely got, I know several, local people that were big Browns fans excited. And I think with the fact that Superior Energy Retrieval is in format, I think it might end up broken.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
All right. For the next one, we got Skeledirge EX, the Metal Boy, not the Fire Boy. So we're seeing some,
He's screaming in that microphone now.
Some typing changes with his,
Terraform.
This is Terraform. There we go. Every time I hear Terraform, I think of a girl named Tara and not and so it messes with my head. The ability Incendiary Song. Once during your turn, you may discard a basic fire energy card from your hand in order to use this ability. During this turn, attacks used by this Pokemon do 60 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. And for 2 fire, Luster Burn, 160 damage. This attack's damage isn't affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. So it goes through anything.
Yeah. So it's shredding.
It's also 330 HP.
He's a big boy.
Well, it's 160 for 2, but
you can do 60 more damage.
Yeah. If you discard a basic energy card in your hand in order to use the ability. Yeah, so you're doing 200.
But is that limited to 1? Or can you discard multiple energies and boost it by... Oh, once during your turn.
Yeah, okay. It's just once during your turn. If you could do it multiple times, that'd be insane.
But it says attacks by your Pokemon. So if you have multiple in play... Can you use 1 Incendiary Song per turn, or is it once per Skeledirge?
I think we're probably going to have to wait for a final
I bet it's once per Skeledirge. Meaning if you have 2 Skeledirge EX in play, you can discard 2 energies.
It does.
Oh, but it does say basic fire energy.
Yeah, it does have to be basic fire energy from your hand. I zoomed in on this real quick to be sure we're getting this right. Not to mention, it's got bench barrier on itself because of the Terra.
Yeah.
But yeah, once during your turn, you may discard a basic fire energy from your hand in order to use the ability. During this turn, attacks used by this Pokemon do 60 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. It says once during your turn, but I don't know if it's per or not.
Usually the cards will read like you're limited to 1 Incendiary Song per turn.
Yeah, and it doesn't say that.
It doesn't. It's just once on that one.
Yeah.
You can. Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty decent because that means, if you get 2 of them in play, that's discard 2 energy for 120 boost, which gets you to 280, which is a nice number to be at. All right. And that's 2 energy, 280.
And are you ready?
That's pretty decent.
Are you ready to see the card that kills Lost Box?
It's that Jirachi in it.
So we have a Stellar Veil Jirachi.
Okay.
And attacks from your opponent's basic Pokemon can't put damage counters on your bench Pokemon.
Let's go.
So you put that Manaphy down, and now they just can't
play. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Go ahead, knock out my Jirachi with your Crimmer.
Yeah, they can't. They're gonna have to search out. Oh, by the way, the attack for a color. Search your deck for 2 basic energy cards, reveal them, put them in your hand, shuffle your deck.
Okay.
So it's not like...
Go find you some energies.
The cool part is, this doesn't have to be in the active for that to take place.
And it's a 0 retreat.
And it is a free retreat.
Nice.
No, it's 1. Sorry, it's 1 retreat.
Okay.
But it is only 70 HP. Alright, we're going to get into some ancient Pokemon. Let's jump into Roaring Moon. This is the card I was most excited about. Okay. I thought it was going to be sick. So...
Alright, it's a Dark Boy. I like that already.
It's a Dark Boy. 2 Dark and a colorless.
Uh-huh.
Frenzy Gouging. Knock out your opponent's active Pokemon.
I love those attacks.
If your opponent's active Pokemon is knocked out in this way, this Pokemon does 200 damage to itself.
Oh, that's not fun.
Oh, it does 200 damage to itself. But if there's a card that we have in format that's kind of interesting. We could use Emergency Jelly on Roaring Moon. And the damage it does to itself triggers the jelly, and you heal it back up so you can get off another one.
So if you have jelly on it, as soon as it hits itself, it heals itself.
Yeah.
That's silly. That's great. Okay, yeah, that is exciting.
Calamity Storm.
That's
is
great.
The other attack.
3 energy blow something. Yeah, that's great.
3
energy. That's on a basic.
It's a basic. Oh, and by the way, don't forget. So the other attack is 100. If you discard a stadium in play, you do 120 more, and you can still attach. Don't forget, we can still attach the Ancient Booster
Yeah.
to this ancient Pokemon.
Yeah.
It doesn't really affect the first attack, but
No,
suddenly
but
the
you
one
can
below
get
it's doing
240 for 3
on a
and
basic.
discard a stadium.
Yeah, on a basic. Another ancient Pokemon. This is not an EX, but
And without even like the awkwardness of multiple energy types. You're just dark energy.
yeah, it's just dark.
Yeah, and we have Dark Patch.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Brute Bonnet has another ancient Pokemon. Basic
I love
as
this
well.
Silly shroomy boy. He's having a damn good time.
So
Rastafarian.
Rastafarian shrooms.
Yeah.
Toxic powder. It sounds like something Rastafarian might be doing.
Yeah.
Once during your turn, if this Pokemon has an ancient booster energy capsule on it, you may make both active Pokemon poisoned.
Okay.
Rampaging Hammer the attack. During your next turn, this opponent can't attack. It's 2 dark and a colorless for 120.
Yeah.
I'm really not. I don't love this card, but I feel like there's something cheeky you're going to be able to do with the toxic powder.
With being poisoned.
Yeah. As far as just a few more cards I want to cover. So Sandy Shock's EX, going ancient as well. The ability Magnetic Absorption. Once during your turn, if your opponent has 4 or fewer prize cards remaining, you may use this ability. Attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to this Pokemon. I don't think the ability is great because you have to be behind. I guess they just have to have 4 or fewer prize cards. But for 2 fighting and colorless, Ground Spike, 200 damage. During your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack. So it's 3 energy to do 200 damage, and you can't attack the next turn. We already have Pokemon that have better abilities at 220 HP.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, that's basically the same attack Miraidon has. Miraidon does 220, and its ability is significantly better. Instead of I can attach an energy if you have 4 or fewer prizes, I'm just going to load up my bench.
Yeah, I'm not playing that card.
Yeah, I don't think it's good. The next one's interesting to me. I don't know if someone's going to find a way to do it, but I think it's cool. So we have Slitherwing, and they're ancient. And for a single fighting, you have Stomp Off. You just discard the top card of your opponent's deck.
Okay.
And then for 2 fighting, Burning Turbulence is 120 damage. This Pokemon also does 90 damage to itself, so it's a big ouch. You can only do it twice before you die. But your opponent's active Pokemon's now burned.
Not enough.
I don't think it's great, but I think you might see some GLC decks slip this in as a one-of. Because everything's a one-of in GLC.
Right.
Just because it's 120 for 2.
120 for 2 is good.
120 for 2, and,
120 for 2.
And the opponent's burned if they're not knocked.
And fighting does have a lot of basic Pokemon, but they're not doing. They all need 3 energy, so having a 2 energy attackers.
All right, so we're going to talk about some Hoopa EX. This one is the one that I'm intrigued by because even though it's not a Dark type Pokemon, it is a Dark type attacker.
Okay.
So Hoopa EX, Double Dark, Energy Crush, 50 times damage. This attack does 50 damage for each energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon.
This is our first fighting type Hoopa, isn't it? I don't think I've ever seen a fight.
Well, it's
a lot of these
are, yeah, it's a Terraform.
Yeah.
So a lot of these are first timers just because of the Terra.
Yeah, no.
But so 50 damage for each energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon.
Okay.
With a lot of decks that accelerate, like Miraidon accelerates. You already hit it for weakness. Oh, and by the way, Gardevoir accelerate. Yeah.
Yeah, Chien Pao,
And then for Triple Dark, Scoundrel Fist. 200 damage during your next turn. This Pokemon can't use Scoundrel Fist. I like that it just says you can't use this attack and not that you can't attack.
Yeah, because you can still Energy Crush. Turn, yeah. And with that 200 damage, you're probably going to be able to finish them off.
Yeah, and I mean, 220 HP for a basic, that's kind of the standard for the basic EXs. We've had a few that were less, and I feel like that's kind of the standard max for the basic EXs, and I think it feels good right there.
I think 230 is the max, isn't it? I think there's some 230.
There's a couple 230s. Cards that anytime I see them, I just want to read. So we have a Groudon.
Yeah, of course. You always got to read a Groudon.
So for a single colorless, Overflowing Power, attach a basic energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon.
Sure.
And then for 2 fighting and colorless, Magma Purge, 60 times damage. You may discard up to 4 energy from your Pokemon. This attack does 60 damage for each energy discarded. To be able to do 240 off of 130 HP basic Pokemon for 3, especially when you have
I like it.
You have the Koraidon in the format that can accelerate 3 energy on turn 1.
Yeah.
On turn 2, you can be attacking for 240 off of basic. Is kind of sick.
Yeah, single prizer too.
And a single prizer, yeah. Groudon always gets printed in a decent way, even if they
he's
nuke
always
him, it's never too bad. All right, and one of the final EXs, Iron Valiant EX, the future Pokemon. The ability is Tachyon Bits. Once during your turn, when this Pokemon moves from your bench to the active spot, you can put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. Which sounds silly, but if you ran it in Lost Box and just switched it around a bunch, you could just
I know.
sling some damage.
Well,
to people.
we have Switch Cart, we have Switch, we have Escape Rope.
Yeah.
We have Cross Switcher. Like, we've just got a lot of switching shenanigans. And you're not limited to once per turn.
And it's a basic.
And it's a basic Pokemon, so you can
No, it
just
is
keep
once during
doing
your
it.
turn. It is once during your turn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just once during your turn when the Pokemon moves from the bench to the active spot. So, yeah, if you could do it endlessly, it would be broken.
Sure.
Because I think you could just run the deck with 4 Iron Valiants and a crap ton of Switch cards.
Well, it's still going to be the same thing, right? Like, if you have another Iron Valiant,
you
could switch that in.
If you can get 4 Iron Valiants down.
Yeah, that's 8 counters per turn attacking.
You don't even run energy. You just try to run as many Switch cards as possible. Everything that lets you switch. And you build a deck with no energy, 4 Pokemon, and you just sit there and switch things over and over again and kill stuff. It wouldn't work, but I think it would be the greatest meme ever to show up against Lost Box and just kill Lost Box by switching your card around.
Just play Iron Valiant Lost Box. And you just have like the Comfies and the Iron Valiants, and you just switch them all around until you're ready for Sableye, and then you drop that Sableye down and you go pew, 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 pew.
So the attack on it, 2 Psychic and a Colorless, Laser Blade, does 200 damage during your next turn. The Pokemon can't attack. So you just switch in another one and it attacks, and you can do 220. Tapu Koko EX. You got a Tapu Koko.
Those are usually good.
It's almost
Tapu
always
Kokos
good, right?
are usually good cards.
So, Lightning and Colorless, Revenge Shock, 30 plus damage. If any of your Pokemon were knocked out by damage from an attack from an opponent's Pokemon during their last turn, this attack does 90 more damage, and your opponent's active is now paralyzed.
Yeah.
So you get paralysis and 120 if you had a previous.
Yeah, it's a revenge attack plus paralysis. I love it.
Yeah. Lightning, Colorless, Extreme Current, 180 damage, discard an energy from this Pokemon. I don't think it's good, which makes me sad. Yeah. And I thought, like, it's Tapu Koko. It doesn't have the greatest attacks, but it'll have free retreat. It doesn't. It's still 1 retreat, so it's not even a free retreat.
If it had free retreat, I'd say it's probably a good card.
No, man,
but just with a kind of a wimpy, big attack.
Well, I I think it's a great pivot.
180. Like, we've been looking at all these EXs, and they're doing 200 plus.
Yeah.
And then this guy's got a puny 180 for 3.
He's also squishy on the HP side, too. He's only 210.
Yeah.
As opposed to, 220, 230. So,
yeah, I don't know how relevant that'll be, because I feel, like I said, most of the attacks are either doing, 200 or, 220 plus.
Yeah.
But...
we did get a single prizer Zekrom for a single colorless, Shorting Crash, 20 damage. Before doing damage, discard all Pokemon tools from your opponent's active Pokemon. That attack doesn't seem great. But Lightning, Colorless, Raging Thunder, 130 damage. This attack does 40 damage to one of your bench Pokemon, so that hurts, but 130 for 3 doesn't seem great. In GLC, it may end up interesting for a 130 HP basic. I don't think it's relevant for us, though. All right, and the one that I saved for the ending here, we have a Lightning-type Mewtwo.
Oh, boy.
So Mewtwo EX, for a single Psychic, Transcharge, attach it with 2 basic Psychic energy from your discard pile to your Pokemon any way you like.
Sure.
Honestly, I think if you're running this, you're not doing that.
No.
You're letting Guardy do that. 2 Psychics, Photon Kinesis, 10 plus damage. This attack does 30 more damage for each Psychic energy attached to all of your Pokemon.
That seems good in Guardy.
It's going to be great in Guardy.
Yeah.
You're going to have a Lightning type attacker. Well, actually, Guardy only accelerates to Psychic type.
Only to Psychic Pokemon.
He's not a Psychic type, but Guardy can accelerate to the bench, and for 2 from hand.
You still have to take 2 turns to set him up.
You do, but I mean, if you throw him on the bench and
unless you play Raihan.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
We did get a Glycopod EX.
Water type Glycopod. Nice.
We did, yeah. Water type Glycopod. 2 colorless, Aqua Blade, 70 damage. Nothing crazy. And then
you don't even have a revenge attack? Get out of here.
Oh, Water Colors. First rank withdrawal. 170 damage, discard energy from this Pokemon. If you do, switch it with one of your bench Pokemon. So you can get out, smack him, retreat to the bench, put the Clef Key back in the act.
Yeah, he does that. 170 hit and run.
170 hit and run is I think it's bad. I mean, you have to discard energy for the hit and run part of it. So it's only a single energy though, which is not too bad. Yeah, no, I'm excited. I think this changes. Obviously we have a pretty diverse meta right now. Talked about in our last video recapping Peoria, and there's still some more cards to come. But we have a diverse meta now. I think this will mix things up a good bit. I do think that Iron Hands might break the game and be the next, like Lugia was in the last format, especially since we have some electric acceleration with generators.
Yeah.
Which scares me because you can.
As it should.
Yeah.
It's a good card. It's a good card.
It scares me. I just pray everyone whiffs. I don't know. I think Iron Hand's gonna be really good. I think it'll be. It may be the next staple deck. Just being able to. It's not a big power hit, but just being able to hit and take an additional prize card on anything. Yeah.
Remind me when Paradox Rift drops.
November 3rd. There you go. And we'll talk more about rotation as it comes up towards the end of the year and next year once we get final dates on what plans are for rotations. And then looking forward to Paradox Rift November 3rd. Until then, guys, this is Nova Circuit TCG Podcast, and take it easy. Have a good one.
See you soon.